So who do I have with me today?
I am Karen Moore, and I have a hobby, and I like vintage signs. So my business is called Karen Moore Vintage Sign Photography. So when I say vintage, I mean not just neon signs, mostly neon. Neon is what excites me the most. So I just travel around and take pictures of signs and market them at a few venues. I have a website, but I'm not really interested in I don't want somebody out there saying, oh, I need 5 of these. I don't need a part-time job.
Right.
I retired from a full-time job, and this is just a hobby. So it's really fun for me the way I do it right now.
Did you bring some examples?
I did.
Can I see them?
Yes.
Fantastic, because...
And this will be for you.
Well, thank you very, very much.
Yes. So, first I'll share this. I was fortunate. I was out in Utah. I had visited all but 2 states, and so I was missing Utah and Maine. And so since I retired, I went to Maine and Utah. And so while I was in Utah, I got a call from the Lakelander, and they asked if I would be interested in doing an interview. And I was like, yeah.
Well, of course.
Yeah, so I was real pleased with what they did. I sent some photos in.
Wow.
So I got a.
Where we see the very famous ones that are here locally.
Right. And then, most of these are local.
Mr. Fish.
This one, I'll tell you a little bit about this one. And that I set up at the Dixieland Art and Alley Fest, and that's what I like to do, as far as format wise, and how I like to sell my pictures. I'm like a proud mother. I want to stand there with all my children, and I want you to come and admire them. And we get to share, and we get to talk about all the photos, and that's really fun.
That's how we met, by the way.
Yeah.
I was a customer of yours.
That is wonderful. And what did you get?
I purchased one of your prints of Pepsi Cola.
Oh.
I'm a Pepsi Cola collector, and I guess it's the one in New York, bottling distributor.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, I'll tell you about when I took that in a little bit. But so I had a customer come to, a few years ago at the Alley Fest, and they said, "Oh, you need to go to what's it called? Avon Park." And I was like, "Oh, there's a sign there you need to see." So I'm like, "All right." I never had reason to go to Avon Park, so I never really went there. So I drove down. I picked a nice day when the sky was beautiful, and which is not always the case.
Of course.
And so I went down to what's it called? To Avon Park, and I found it. And so that's what this was.
Is it still there today?
No, it's not.
I didn't think it was.
No, the so I
it's
found
the motel.
So I found Reed's Motel, and it was just lovely. You get the diving girl, which is really classic, and I was so excited to see that. And then probably a year and a half later, it's gone.
Yeah.
So I was really grateful. Part of the sign is still now in Avon Park in a shop window. So they try to preserve it.
Okay.
They try to preserve it. So anyway, and then another one of my customers, they saw my stuff and they said, "Oh, you should join SCA." I'm like, "What the heck is SCA?" So it's the Society of Commercial Archaeology. So I went home and checked it out.
Okay.
So commercial archaeology, it's signage, building structures. So there's a group of about 400 people across the nation, and they're members of this group, and I'm a member of this group now. But they were going to have a conference about 2 months after, and I thought, these are my people. These people really like what excites me.
What you're appreciating.
I know, so
Yeah.
it was really exciting for me. So I signed up, and I did go to this conference in Wisconsin, and it was in the Wisconsin Dells, which is apparently a vacation spot.
Okay.
So open that bag, if you will. There's a couple cards in there, and there's one of a flamingo.
Hulk, the star, Mr. Fish, Silver Moon.
The Flamingo Motel is in Wisconsin, which is funny to me, but what a beautiful picture.
Oh, you ain't kidding.
And it's like here it says vacancy. So the sign has been updated.
Yeah.
So originally it probably said, probably had no vacancy.
Yeah, like turn the light on or turn the light off.
So this had a rolling thing, so I had to stand there and take pictures as this rolled with different things. go to swim lessons, go to whatever, but, the Flamingo Motel is lovely, so I love that one, and, so that always makes me think of
So-
a trip to Wisconsin.
When you were at the conference, how did that go?
Oh, that was wonderful. We had just different members presenting different things. Particularly, one thing that strikes me was a man who he followed the Sinclair dinosaur.
Oh, the oil company thing?
Yes.
Oh, that's been a long time ago.
Yes, it's a long time ago, and so he just knows where the original dinosaurs are. He can tell which an
He's an
original
authority.
one. He really is, and so he talked a long time about that. So that was really great. And then different people talk about the blue highways. And when you talk about the blue highways, you're looking at I'll say probably an old map. You're looking at a map,
Okay.
and so the blue roads are the 2-lane highways. The 2-lane roads, the U.S. highways.
Like from the 50s and 40s
Yeah,
and
yeah.
before.
And currently now we have blue roads. They're U.S. highways.
Okay.
And so I'll go off on this. So the highways, if you get to a town that's not been, it hasn't grown.
Yeah.
It hasn't grown.
The highways went around them.
Right. So the highway goes through it, and the old hardware store's still there.
Do you know
The old diner's still there. The
mom and pop.
The washateria, all those things,
Yes.
the laundromat, all those things are there, and so the signs are there often. And so you get to a town that's grown more, and you can see where they widened the road, so they took out businesses along and the corresponding signs. So sometimes you'll get through one of those roads, and I always like, you get through a town, and then you just kind of go out of the town a little bit, and you'll see the motel, which they wanted it to be out of the town a little bit. And so you'll see the motel where it used to be. Right now I see budget inns. So
Yeah.
budget inns have kind of gobbled up
Yeah.
all these little
Mom and pop,
mom and
yeah.
pop motels, So it's always it's a treasure hunt. I went in 2013. I was taking my son up to Gainesville, and he'd go Gators, and we ran across the Sands Motel sign, and it's the motel sign.
Like
that-
98 or 41 or.
I think 41, but the Sands Motel, to me, it has it all. It's got the arrow, it's got the bulbs, it's got neon, it's got these great vintage
Oh my
colors,
gosh.
and so that's the motel sign in which I compare all others.
Wow.
'Cause
Okay.
that's really great. And there's another one, the Florida Motel, and that's on the same street, on the same road. So we pulled off and took those pictures, and so so when I see that picture, I think of that day, and I think of there being with my son, and that was really fun. And so last time I was up there, that sign is not there anymore. It's now closer to the college. So people care about these signs, and they're appreciating their value to the community, to,
They're works of art.
Oh, they
They're
really
works of
are.
art.
They capture to me the optimism and
Nostalgia.
of the past, and those signs were built to last. They weren't like, let's throw up a sign and see if our business lasts a couple of years. They
That's
were
right.
they were in it. Somebody built a sign like that.
And the signs nowadays, it's made out of plastic, and it's made to withstand 10 miles an hour wind, and you got to replace it after every storm.
Yeah,
It's disposable, if
Yeah.
you will.
yeah,
They don't make them like.
right. And every once in a while, these signs will come down. They'll say a storm goes through and knocks the flamingo down. So does the owner, are they really excited about restoring that? Do they have the resources to restore it? And sometimes they don't. So then you lose them. And a lot of them, there's a place where they're protected now, in that there's sign museums. There's Ignite is a sign museum. There's several sign museums.
Oh, okay.
Antique sign museums.
No, I never knew that.
Yeah, and so, like out in Tucson, or Route 66, anywhere, you're going through, and there's, you'll see a sign that's in disrepair, and it doesn't look like the business is ever going to open again. So a sign shop, a sign restorer will offer to buy that sign. Then they'll take it back to the shop, they'll remake it, refurbish it, and hopefully it's put up in its place again. You know,
Right.
I've not been to a sign museum yet, cause I would love it, but it would sadden me as well, because yes, they're preserved, but they're not where they were, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's ideal if someone will keep the sign.
It's such a treasure when you find one that's
Mhm.
still there.
Mhm.
Ah,
I usually don't go down Memorial at night. I just my routine doesn't take me down there at night. So a couple years ago, I went down there and wow, I just never appreciated the Arby's sign and how wonderful it was and
It's
how colorful it
gone.
was. So there was a couple lights were out of it. A couple the AST and roast was out, and so I went in to the manager, introduced myself, and I said, "Hi, my name's Karen. I want to see the manager." It's a
Sure,
Karen,
sure.
Karen joke.
No pun intended.
So anyway, I said, if you call me when this sign is repaired, I'll come back and I'll give you $20 because I wanted her to,
Sure.
to be motivated. Here's my card. I'll bring you 20 when you call me in this, because then I could take the photo. But I did take the photo that night, which I ended up being really grateful for because about 2 months later, it was gone.
I live across the street, and I looked at it and I watched it every day
Yeah.
because Memorial is where I go
Yes,
every day.
Yes.
And out of nowhere, they just started taking it down. And I was hoping someone had done
Right.
something. And there was a video. Someone did take a video. There's a video out there of
Mhm.
Memorial Boulevard. But thank goodness someone took some pictures.
Right, right. And so you'll see them, some of the Arby's, you know, when a new Arby's is put in, or an Arby's is updated, usually they'll replace the sign like they did on Memorial, but some of them will keep the old original sign out there and also have another sign, but they'll, just to honor their history, they'll keep
Yeah.
that sign, and I just think it's so important. It's kind of like Lakeland. You know, Lakeland has, you know, historic preservation groups that protect structures that are
Homes.
significant to us. Old Lakeland High School, you know,
Yeah.
that could have been demolished. What's it called, the big yellow apartment down in there?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
refurbished that.
Yeah, and that was on the chopping block.
I remember when that thing was empty and
Oh,
you walk
yeah.
by it, it was just completely
Oh,
bare.
Oh,
and-
yeah,
oh,
oh, yeah, and it was on the chopping block, but it was people who cared about our history, and care about the city, who advocated and found somebody. It was Jim Studio, who reached out and he found somebody that was interested in making an investment, and, you know, to his credit and to Lakeland, you know.
Yeah, who is that?
Jim Studio, he was one of our city managers
Oh,
in
okay.
the past, you know, so he's a little famous in my life.
Okay, yeah.
But anyway, so that was that's just
a
exciting.
treat.
You know, I
So
think it's
you-
important to
You
maintain.
think you've got them all here in Lakeland or Polk County?
You know, it's funny. I just recently took Subs and Such, which I really
Oh, yeah.
which I really hadn't before, and I can walk there from my house. I live in Dixieland,
Oh, okay.
and so it never kind of made the cut for me because it was kind of beat up, and you know.
Yeah.
But still, you know, I now what I look at a sign and I think one day that'll be gone, and if I don't have a photo of it, will I be sad? And so then I make sure I do. Like Bent's Cycle Shop. Now that is it's Schwinn.
The one right
Heights.
there by the, on the corner of Memorial and Florida?
No,
It's gone?
No, they're talking about the one in Dixieland. Kind
Oh,
of-
it's still there?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been there forever, and I think Mr. Bent's son, I think, runs it. I'm not sure, but anyway, so the sign has some damage on it, but I got the best picture I could, and so I think I might have sold a few of those to bike enthusiasts and that. So
Yes.
that was fun. And this Pope picture, I'm glad I have this. They started to. It looks really cool at night, but in the daytime it's kind of washed out and it's not too exciting. The colors are muted and it
Mhm.
doesn't really flip anybody's switch. So they've started to paint it, and this square down here on recent photos, more recent photos than this, is a darker blue. And so I was excited. I thought, oh great, they're gonna do it. And so they started and then they stopped, and I'm not sure why they stopped. But this is a tricky photo to get because You have to be out in traffic.
Yeah, I've taken video in front of
Yeah,
it.
yeah, so you know.
Scary as heck.
Yeah, yeah, and so you know, and for me, for a still photo, you know, it goes P-O-L-K, poke, so you have to kind of stand there for all of those.
Yeah. So why do you find? Because I still don't think all the bulbs there work.
Yeah.
I think only like 2. I mean, there's a lot of why
Yeah.
why don't people?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
I don't
a
know.
light bulb. A maintenance man up there, put it in there.
Right, and, you know, I mean, somebody's gotta have a,
Someone has to want to appreciate it.
yeah,
And there's not a
somebody
lot
really,
out there.
you know,
And this one's famous. We all know the.
oh, I love
I
that.
don't even know what we call that.
It's called a Sputnik. It's
Sputnik.
called a Sputnik, and Jenkins Lincoln Mercury maintains it to their credit, and
I call it the mercury ball.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really exciting. So,
And we got
and yeah,
Mr. Fish here.
Mr. Fish, I was never going to take a photo of that, but I had a friend who he commissioned me to take a photo of the Mr. Fish sign. It was before it was redone, so it was faded out, and I guess maybe him and his wife's first date was there or something. They went there, and so that was an important place for him. And so I took the picture, and then when they redid the sign, really such a great match to the original sign that I took a picture of it. And so I contacted this man and said, well, you want to swap that out? I'd be happy for you to have this one instead of the one you have, you know. So then he was happy to get the new one.
He
So
was,
yeah, absolutely. Talking about Society for Commercial Archaeology, I said I went to Wisconsin, and that's where the flamingo is. So the next one was at the TWA Hotel in New York City at JFK Airport.
Okay.
So if you ever are in JFK Airport for any reason, you could get to Terminal 5, and that is the TWA Hotel. So it's very mid-century modern, very retro, and it's protected as a landmark. So what happened is in that time period, when they made those airports for the I don't know enough about planes to remember. I'll say the DC-9. I don't know anything about
Okay.
planes. So they made these airports for the planes that were current. And by the time the airport was complete, they were pretty much obsolete because the
They take so
planes
long.
had evolved, and they were bigger, and they could no longer, it wouldn't work with these structures. So anyway, they had the foresight to protect that structure early on, you know. So now it's a landmark, and it's really great. An episode of Miss Maisie Marple. What's the name of the picture? Oh, it's a retro TV
So they
show.
used it in a film,
Yeah,
in a
they used it
major
in a
film.
but it's a.
Do they have art on the walls and stuff, and
They've got-
nostalgic
yes,
stuff?
yeah, they've got, you go down this one hallway, and it's got old TWA flight
Oh.
posters, destination,
I
of the
love that.
Bermudas and all this, and I took a little video. If I can find it, I'll send it to you, but if you ever get a chance to be there,
Isn't that neat?
it is really, really great. And there's Tab, the old soda tabs, and they've
Sure.
got this big giant pink Tab can, and it's got the history of Tab,
Wow.
and you know, and how it came about.
I remember Mom in the early '70s. She drank Tab.
Oh,
I guess that's when
my.
it come out or something.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
I remember that
yes.
well.
Oh yes, you know, Tab and little saccharin pills, and that was our great hope that
Saccharin,
we
the
would
little
not
bitty
be
pills of
fat.
sugar and
We wouldn't be
sweetness.
fat anymore because we're gonna
God, I remember that.
we're gonna have this.
I was a kid.
So when we went to this, so the tour, we stayed at the hotel, which was wonderful in itself, and then from there we took trips to other airports in the metro area. So we went to LaGuardia and just different airports.
Okay.
And then we took a cruise, the boat cruise around the island of Manhattan. So you're able to point out, you know, our guides were able to point out the bridges and the significance of them and everything, and you're able to see. And so wherever we were, putting along, enjoying each other and this weather and the scenery, and I saw the Pepsi-Cola sign.
Pepsi and
Oh
Pete.
my!
That's it. Got the Pepsi and Pete with the police, right?
I don't
Do
know.
they? I think they had Pepsi. And, I'm not remembering.
Is it a commercial?
No, I'm talking about that sign at the Pepsi distributor. It's got the Pepsi bottle and the old Pepsi double dot
Yeah,
cola,
yeah.
and that's when you got that picture.
Yes, yeah, so I got that picture then, and apparently there's a big apartment complex just beyond it, and a lot of the residents are not really enthralled with that sign being there, but the greater good is being served.
That's
And the
fantastic,
city's
yes.
protects it and is maintaining it, so that's really great.
Yeah, I remember when I was young, you know, the dial telephone and all that analog stuff,
Mhm.
and all of these signs, and you had to manipulate electricity, you had to manipulate neon light, you had to physically manipulate these things to make them work in the analog world.
Mhm.
And then as years pass by, we're turning into this digital world where a little bitty light can do a lot. And so the appreciation of the old analog stuff is hard to find.
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, you have to have been there almost,
Right.
because I can't imagine my son or my daughter, oh, that's a sign, you know, but they just, because they were born in the digital world,
Right.
I don't know if they'll develop it or not.
It's that's part of what the reason I do what I do is I want people to see them and appreciate them. Now, if you took a photo of this and hung it on your wall, somebody'd say, "Oh, nice." But boy, when you've got the whole collage of them, it's really striking, and that's why I like to stand at the art show and stand with them all, and
Yeah.
you can see them and you can really get the feel. And gravity's not my friend right now, so there we go.
Oh, that's okay.
That's fine, yeah.
We'll show them the silver
They
mark,
don't
that's
need
the one
to
we
be
haven't
there.
showed yet.
Yeah, right?
All right.
There you go. Ta-da. So what was I gonna say? Well, so the next place, so the way I like to show them is I wanna be there with them. I wanna set up a tent, I wanna be there with them, I want you to come by and go, "Oh, I've been there," or whatever, and people really, they enjoy seeing them, and they enjoy reminiscing and appreciating the memories they bring, and I sold an old Vito's photo. So when I first started taking photos in 2000 is when I really started.
Okay.
And I started at my house in Dixieland, and I walked north up just about as far as Polk Museum. Not Polk Museum, Polk Theater. So when I first started, it was early. It was a brisk fall morning, but it's still early. So my picture of Vito's, the sky is kind of, hazy and white. It hadn't blued up yet. There was still kind of some fog, I guess. So I was glad that I have a picture of Vito's. So now it's Lean Spaces, and it's in Dixieland. But people that
Is that on the corner?
No, it's let me see.
'Cause I know they renamed that corner bar or restaurant, and they had a fancy little sign there. I don't remember what it says.
Not talking about Union Hall.
No, not
No.
Union Hall. It was before Union Hall heading north.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't picture.
It's
but
just a little black sign, thin black sign, and I think it's got an L, kind of like an L shape.
Okay.
I'll have to
I'm not
think
picturing
about it.
that. But anyway, I went further up that day, and I got a picture of Bernice's. Now, Bernice's Ladies Apparel. Doesn't that just ring an old time bell? The name Bernice.
Yeah.
Ladies Apparel. It just really. So anyway, I got that photo, and then another one, Austin Barnett, which is now an attorney's office up there. But the old Austin Burnett sign,
Oh,
they
wow.
sold appliances.
You had the Waller building, the Waller sign,
Mhm.
isn't that?
It's on, well, here.
Oh, yeah, there.
So it's on this history issue, but I'm not sure if, I don't think this is original, and I always have been disappointed.
Yeah.
The sign, the clock never works, so it's like,
Yeah.
fix the clock. I love the clock.
I
and
don't
I'm gonna
understand.
Fix the clock.
It's like they're intentionally ignoring them on purpose. Like they're being told,
Don't fix it.
don't bring back. I really don't understand.
SCA did a tour down here one time, and it was in St. Pete and Lakeland, because we do have so much in Lakeland.
Oh, yeah.
Like Southside Cleaners. Holy cow! I spoke with Bob Fisher yesterday on the phone. He's going to contribute to he's going to be a sponsor for Dixieland Neighborhood Association event, which is the Dixieland Art and Alley Fest, November 16th. It's a Saturday from 9 to 3.
Okay.
And so I got some history of him. I got to kind of meet him, and I got to talk about. I'm so glad you're preserving Southside Cleaners, and
Yes.
and keeps putting the signs up, and
Oh yeah.
from
It's like
from
iconic.
Myers. Oh yes.
Everybody watches and reads the next week's one. It's,
And he says he kind of a little fear of heights. So I said, I appreciate your sacrifice, and everybody.
He does it himself?
I said, on behalf of Lakeland, I appreciate your sacrifice.
yeah.
So, but he's still in contact with Greg Myers, who's the prior owner, and
That is fantastic. Well, I'd like to get them to get. That'd be really cool.
Oh yeah, I can do that.
All the.
Yeah.
I was curious where do they get their sayings?
Oh, well, it was Greg Myers, and I don't want to say too much about it, only because I would love for him, because I did think about him. I thought, as a new owner of such a, he would probably enjoy coming.
Well, yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
fantastic.
he's fairly new to this area.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah, he came from Tampa, and so he's going to reach out to some Tampa artists that he knows to see if they'll be interested to coming to our art events. That would be great.
So, do you have a website?
I do.
Or
I do.
Facebook, or-
Yeah, I have both. I have it's Karen Moore Vintage Sign Photography, and that's the website.
Okay. .com.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I put you on iamlakeland.com.
Great.
Because I've got a section for artists,
Great.
photographer, authors.
Great. The photo on my, there's the about and contact
Yeah.
and whatever, and so that photo is the Pepsi sign. And so I haven't worked on the website a lot, but when I first did it, it was right after that tour, and so I was really excited about that photo, and I'm so glad that you.
Oh man, I'm a fan. Yes.
I'm so glad you have that. So it's a small world. But what was I going to say?
Facebook.
Oh yeah, so I put it at, and so it was my home cover, but it's hard to see the little about and contact and
Okay. Yeah.
So if you go to the site, you'll just have to kind of look for that. And I have the Sputnik on one of them and something else on them, but I talk about historic preservation and really encouraging people to be involved and be at least aware of your area and what buildings are on the chopping block and who's advocating for them, and to support that, because the preservation, it's saving your culture. It's part of your culture.
And the attention span of the kids these days is so much smaller, and trying to get their attention to appreciate almost anything at this point is not easy. It's difficult. So I have to set my daughter down and say, this is the way it used to be. Can you see why I said what I said? Because I appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a retired nurse, and I had a drug rep that I used to talk to, and it was just over a drug lunch, and I was showing him my hobby and showing him some photos I happen to have, and so he got really interested in it, and so every once in a while, he would send me photos he was out in Colorado, and he'd send me a couple pictures, because he's like, ooh, Karen would love that,
That's
and,
right.
and my son, he's 30, and he sees them and appreciates them, and just different people. Once they see them as a group and they see the feel of it, then when they see one, they really recognize it and appreciate it. And so that's really what I want. There's been a few, as far as my hobby and my progress, I went into Mitchell's Coffee House. They have, for Lakeland Arts Association, they allow members to set up photos. Okay, well, I didn't know any of that. I just knew, I contacted Mitchell's, went down there, and they said, oh, you want to talk to this lady? Here's her email address. So I talked to Sherry Ross, and so I got a date, and I was going to have set up for First Friday and be there for a month, which is wonderful. They charge nothing, and it enables you to show your work, and the public appreciates it. And so that was really great. And so when I came to set up, I had never really met Sherry, so I didn't know that was Sherry sitting there. So I came to set up, and the other person was taking their stuff down, and so I met Sherry, and I said, well, Sherry, since you since you facilitate all these artists coming here, you probably know a lot of artists. And I said, I'm looking for artists that are interested in coming to the Dixieland Art and Alley Fest. And so she said, well, are you a member of an art guild? And I said, no. And she said, well, I'm the president of Lakeland Arts Association, and at that point, she was of Bartow Art Guild as well. And so she said, so join the guild. I said, well, what do you have to do
That's right.
to join?
Not yet I am,
And
but
she
I will
said-
be.
So she said, you just join, and so so that opened that opened a lot. So I had, someone that came to the Mitchell show told me about Mulberry Cultural Center. So it kind of makes me laugh sometimes because Mulberry is a little tiny town, and so if you're local, you think Mulberry Cultural Center, and you're like, yeah, right.
Where is the
Yeah,
downtown?
Yeah, where's the culture? I mean, the
That's
Mulberry
right.
Cultural Center. People from afar, I'd say, oh, I'm doing a solo show at the Mulberry Cultural Center. They're like, ooh, sounds pretty posh. So anyway, I was going to get on the list for there, and they do a wonderful service for artists as well. And usually there's about a 1-year waiting list to get on there. And so I sent my application in, and they said, call me back, and they said, we just had a cancellation. Could you possibly do next month?
Wow.
I was like, yes. So anyway, so I brought down what I had, and so what they do is a room, big space. So they painted the space to complement my photos, my vintage signed photos. They had like I don't know, it was just great. It was colorful, it was beautiful. And then when the next artist comes, I took my stuff out after about 6 weeks. You have your things there. They do an opening, so it's a Thursday night or whatever, and they provide there's refreshments, and they do an opening, and they market it to everyone that has previously been there. Because I was there, I now get a postcard every 6 weeks inviting me to the opening to the next one, which I like to go because, if you're
This is
gonna have
interesting to me.
if you're gonna have an opening, you kind of want people to be there,
Well, of course.
So I always, support my fellow artists. So, so when they're done with me, all the work they did for me, they covered all that for the next show. And so the walls, the paint color, the placement of the walls, there's some movable walls. So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that they do.
There was some forethought put in to what you're going to do and forethought for what they're going to do.
Oh yeah.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, and artists really, we have really a great degree of support in this community. We've got Daryl Ward from PACA, which is Polk Arts and Cultural Alliance. He's president of that right now, and he does everything he can to promote artists and events,
Yeah.
art events and artists.
I heard that the artist budget got cut too this year.
Yeah.
I seen that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then Bartow Art Center, they have a space, they have a gallery, so I was able to do a one-person show there and have an opening and all that, so I've hit. And then Mitchell's is the space that Lakeland Arts Association uses, and I believe still can use with the new owners, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure. they probably
Sandra.
can.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know her. When was your display at Mitchell's? Was it under Sandra or was it under Mitch?
Mitch.
So it's been a while?
Oh yeah, it's been a couple of years.
So they just bought it. And then,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I promoted a couple of people. Denise Saddles,
Yes.
she
Yeah,
had
she'll
hers
be
in
at
there.
one. She'll be at our event.
Yeah, so you know Denise
Oh,
as
yes,
well?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I love this community in every aspect, not just art and business and helping each other. We are
Mhm.
so fortunate.
Oh, yeah, oh, for sure. I brought a few others.
Yes.
These are not, well, a classic.
Everybody
I
knows
know.
that.
I know, so that's a great
That
one.
is.
And, this one,
I've seen that one before. What is that?
yeah, right? So, not necessarily a great photo, but okay.
And you know what drives me nuts about this photo?
Yes.
That you can't control. What am I gonna say?
The neon pieces that are broken.
That too.
Oh, that light.
That light pole.
Yes. Oh, I know.
That, it drives
Yeah,
me
I know
bananas.
I know.
Yeah. That started it all for me. I was like, how can I make an A?
Oh, I know.
And
yes.
so I said,
Oh, yes. I love it. I love your logo.
it's
I think
loosely.
It's yeah. It's so smart though.
Thank
I
you.
just love it. And this one. Okay, not that one yet. This one. I love this for different reasons. So this is Master Dry Cleaners. Now that is in Binghamton, New York, near where I went to nursing school. And in the little round logo, it says, the Master since 1937. Now, 1937, dry cleaning, I suppose, was really some kind of magic. You know? So we've got this little
They used
saucer.
that as a, I didn't get,
Yeah.
it didn't click with me.
The Master. So it's like some kind of magic. You know?
Yeah.
So I wanted to show you this just to,
It's
so
magic.
it would remind me to talk about when I'm traveling, the sky isn't always great. The sun isn't always out. The sun is not always on the right side of the sign. The other side of the sign, I think, was either washed out or damaged. So I wanted this side of the sign, but the photo could have been brighter if the sun was on it.
Okay.
You know, so, but I love that.
And I don't even think about those things. I really don't.
Right, and you wouldn't unless, and then, in this one, I went out to, this is in Austin, Texas.
Wow.
And the dive isn't lit up, but it's a bar sign. And it was a rainy day, the day that I went out to visit my brother and sister-in-law. And so the day that we were planning to do the photos was a rainy day, but that didn't stop us. We just went out in the rain. But that's why the sky is the way it is. But this one, I did sell one last time to someone in Lakeland, and they have it in their office, you know, because it's swans.
Sure.
But swan dive, to me, I'm in recovery, and so swan dive, it's like, okay, a bar, it could be that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be a real swan dive, so I like it for that reason
That is
as well.
cool.
But that one.
Yeah, we were just recently, probably in the last 2 months, we were antique shopping, and we would walk through an antique store, and there was a bar of soap, said Swan Soap. There was a company who made Swan Soap. I said, I gotta get that.
Yeah.
So the Swan in Lakeland, everybody knows that history.
Yeah.
So do you ever touch up?
No.
They're
No.
all perfectly natural?
Yeah, they, you know, I always say, oh, I'm not an artist. Well, yes, you are. You're a photographer. I said, you know, I stand in front of things that are already there, and I take their picture. You know.
That's just as important as
I
anything.
know, but
That
but
is just
but
as
I'm
important.
talking to people who do beautiful pottery and just beautiful, detailed, intricate things. You know, I mean, these could all fall in the river, and really, I could
And
replace
they will.
them.
They will. There's no,
And I can
but
replace
it's
them.
preserved.
Yes, yes. But I'm saying the photos themselves, you know what I mean? My whole inventory.
Well, the good news is, if you've got them now in digital format and on your website, they'll be here forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
Speaking of, there's a girl, her name is Deborah Jane Setzer. And she's the sign guru for me. She has a book out called Vintage Signs. And it just has all the detail. I'm just not energetic enough to go and meet the owner of Master Dry Cleaners, find out
Hear the
if this is the
stories.
original sign, who owned the business, when was the sign refurbished, is this its original location? But she does all that. You know, so when Sands Motel up in Gainesville, she had a photo of it, but then she said where it was, and so I was able to reach out to her, and she does an update in the SCA newsletter. It'll be signs and snippets, so it'll talk about, is this sign still there, or they'll say, this one's refurbished, this one was just removed
Yeah,
and
they're
lost,
keeping up on
and this
it.
one, so I was able to get back with her and say, you know, yes, it's gone, but I know where it is now.
Oh, that's
You know,
fantastic.
And so
yeah.
then she can update that, and so you can get there's a huge catalog online of signs.
All you gotta do is have the interest.
Yes, oh yes,
Oh,
And
wow.
there's just so many great ones. I mean, I've got a bunch, and I've had the good fortune to travel to all 50 states. Not while I was doing this, but
Yeah.
throughout my life,
Yeah.
So, but to go someplace, I went to Gainesville because I wanted to take a picture of Lillian's Music Store, which was Tom Petty's childhood
Oh, no
music
kidding.
store.
Oh, I'll be
And so
darned.
they have an original sign, and so
Oh, wow.
I've seen pictures of it, but I wanted to go up and see it. So I did do that, and while I was there, I got the Krispy Kreme, one of the original Krispy
Oh,
Kremes is up there
yes.
too. So, and you'll see both of those
That-
if you come to the
Yeah.
Art and Alley Fest on November 16th. So, so that was.
Is that Alley Fast? Because I feel like I go there 2 or 3 times a year. Is it more than just once?
No, there's a Dixieland night market, which Dominic Burkett from Emporium Tattoo and
Oh, yeah.
Art Gallery.
I know him. I've met him, and we.
Dominic's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And so he organizes that, and that's his baby, and all those vendors
Okay,
are
yeah.
from him. And then we advertise, that event on our neighborhood association website as well. But then ours is an annual event, but it can be a little bit
Okay,
confusing.
yeah.
So we just do an annual event, and we look.
When I'm in consumer mood, I just go consumer mode. Well, the idea that I've been collecting Pepsi memorabilia for 40 years.
Mhm.
When I was a kid, remember Pepsi used to come in bottles?
Yep.
And we used to go to the store and we had to turn in a dime to get the refund. Well, one of them came back with a Mountain Dew lid on it. And I thought, my dad had it, and he goes, Donnie, he said, look at this. And it was a Pepsi Cola with Mountain Dew. And he gave it to me, and I kept it.
Oh.
And I have it to this day.
Wow.
And that was the start of me collecting Pepsi memorabilia. And so I see signs, I see Coke signs, I see Pepsi signs,
Mhm.
I see Mountain Dew signs. So I paid attention to signs
Mhm.
my whole life, basically,
Mhm.
if you will. And to know that there's a group that's just on signs is
Oh,
fantastic.
yeah, Society for Commercial Archaeology, it's really wonderful, and it's, they just go to all kinds of places. So recently, they went to Nashville, and there's all kinds of great neon
Oh, yeah.
in Nashville, the Nashville Neon Canyon, they call it. And my husband was ill, I wasn't able to go to this one, but the next one is in Niagara Falls.
Oh, wow.
So I'll be going to that one probably in June. So
June.
that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that is so. Well, I appreciate your time, Karen.
Well, thank you very much.
Is there
It's been
anything
fun.
else that we can share? Just annual right here
Yeah.
in November of this.
November 16th.
Okay.
And it's the Dixieland Art and Alley Fest. It's a Saturday event from 9 to 3. And
Come say
yeah.
hi.
Yeah.
Some of these
There's
works
music.
will be available.
Yeah, all of this will be there. We have a Blues Hall of Fame musician, which is Skip Fry Group will be there. They were here last year, and everybody loved them, and they'll be back again. So it should be a great
I
event.
stop over there at Concord for
Yeah,
coffee
there you go.
occasionally.
Right there. It's.
Well, Karen, thank you so much for
You're
your time.
welcome. This has been
I
wonderful.
appreciate it.